All right, guys, welcome back to Daniel Football. Definitely appreciate the support. In this video, we're going to get into the offensive playbook that I'm going with. I know I stated that I would go with shotgun mix, but I got a lot of comments saying that shotgun mix is not included in MUT. So, I wanted to run something everyone can use if they wanted to, even in MUT. So I'm going to go with run and gun. And upon my surprise, I found a lot of really good stuff in run and gun. All right. And I think it's a playbook that it's not very common among YouTube content creators. So, we get something that's a little bit different and it has a lot of pretty cool stuff and concepts being ran in the playbook. So we're going to go over the first formation that I'm going to be going over plays with. This video will just a surface level video on me going into a game, just utilizing some of the plays. I'll get into deeper detail with each play having their own video. All right. I'll get into route combinations on the back side, front side stuff, philosophy of the formation, etc. So let's just go ahead and get to running the video. All right, so this is the clear out play right away, you guys. I'm always looking at the coverage on the back end. I mean, as soon as we come out, so right away, it looked like it was some type of double high, and now he's making his adjustments. So with this play, I love attacking the levels concept against double high. The reads are very simple. I'll go into deeper detail on this play later with its own video. All right, and the good thing about this play, what I like about it is what we're trying to do is we're trying to get some rub action with the release here against like two-man. So if you run this play in the practice field against two-man with these guys pressed up, okay, you will get some animations to where you want this guy to run kind of hip to hip underneath this guy, and the outside corner will get rubbed off, and then you'll get all this space inside by that underneath in route. All right. It's great against double high. So I'm really reading the second defender in. And the reads in the play are pretty simple. We're going to do a lot of good stuff on the back end later on. But I'm really reading 1 to 2, and I'll get into back end stuff later with 3 to 4 and all that. All right. But I don't want this video to be too long. Again, this is just surface level stuff, right? So we're looking at this guy. He's widening. And right away, we get that rub type action against double high. All right, and it turns out he was in palms coverage, so we kind of missed an opportunity here. If I rewind, because in palms coverage, now again, we don't know this pre-snap, okay, but in palms coverage, the safety is here. He's out of position. All right, because the safety is in a 3-2 read. This guy is in a 3-2 read, and here's the 3. All right, and pretty much if this guy goes vertical, then he has to play this man-to-man, and once he notices he goes vertical, well, then he takes the vertical of number 2. All right. The issue with this is he's running right up the seam. So he has to match this route man to man, and he's out of position. So now we have that shot deep down the middle of the field inside. Now, against typical palms, okay, this guy's a free player on defense. So he can be a potential problem in this area of the field. Once we put air on the ball, he can attack it. But my opponent did something with the backside safety to where the deep middle of the field has open access. And when you pair that with this guy playing outside leverage on that seam route, that is wide open. All right. But obviously, see, this is, I kind of like going up because this is the weakness of progression reading. All right. So yeah, it's a coverage read type play, but on progression reading 1 to 2, this is one of the weaknesses of progression reading because you have progression reading type plays, and then you have coverage reading plays. All right, so when you progression read, you're just going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. Coverage reading, you are attacking coverage, right? So, if you get into a real coverage read play and you see a potential weakness here, maybe this would be a situation where we kind of alert to the scene replay, knowing that we have a potential big play here. But because I'm reading 1 to 2, one's open before my eyes can even get to this read. He's not even in the progression. Okay, that's where you leave big plays out on the field. All right, that's the problem with progression replays. All right, but I'll leave it at that. We'll just move forward. One's open, and there we go. So that is the plays there. Clear out against cover 4 palms. Now, again, so I'm looking at the defense. Looks like double high. And we're going to get into a backside combination that I like to call Tiger. All right. And Tiger is a part of the cat family. So I've went over the lion passing concept. I went over this play last year and maybe 4 years ago, where you're running 2 slants on one side. So Tiger is what you will see here. It's kind of the same family, but it's a little bit different because in not dragon, but lion, you have the 1 and then you have the 2. This guy's running a 1-step slant, and then this guy's running a 3-step slant, and it's a great concept to run against double high. All right, where you're reading the second defender in. It's a very simple concept. He dictates where you're going to go with the ball. So definitely go check out my video on that. But where I get this Tiger deal is probably one of the coolest plays I've seen in the game on the backside is this right here. All right, so it's in stick HB circle. And it's very unique because we have this slant on the backside. All right, but our running back honestly don't know what you would call this route. Maybe it is what they would call circle. I'm not sure. Okay. But it's not what you would call like the Texas route in the game. If you call Texas, he gets into the route like right now. But you'll see with this route, it's kind of almost like a delay outside release. He's not trying to get there now. And then he attacks the middle of the field. And it pairs very well with this slant when we put in this reduce split. All right. So I love to run this as a backside combination concept against double high. And I'll make a video on this. I think this will be the first video I go over from Trey Open after this, where we go over backside concepts. So we're going to reduce the split. And we're just going to read the second defender in. The same reads against when we're running the line concept. So it is a very simple read, but this is a very effective route combination here, right? So I'll just go ahead and play it. I think we're going to run this a couple of times in the video. We snap, okay? And, you know, it has so many concepts to it. So like the arches concept or the follow concept where you have a route running inside and then you have a second route running into that space that the number 1 route vacates defenders. It's kind of the same deal, okay? But then it has this kind of double slant concept with it as well, where we're attacking that second defender in. So he's going to clear out the user here. He's going to run with that. And with this guy flaring outside, this is where I just attack inside with that route from the back. All right, so I'll go ahead and run it. He takes away the user. I fire inside, and we get a very big gain. Well, we get a touchdown. And so, I mean, it looked like double high, but that's one of the benefits of running a play like this where they rotate into single high post snap. But that's one of the benefits of that Tiger concept where it's good against pretty much every single coverage from what I've seen. All right. We're going to get into the third play where I get into a missed opportunity. So now we're going to get into the next play. I'm going to run the same play. He's running palms again. And here's an example of me missing an opportunity because I'm kind of progression reading again. Double high. I'm just reading 1 to 2 to 3, 1, and then he's running this outside. That's a terrible drawing there. All right, where we get the levels concept underneath 1 to 2. I didn't hot route the backside, which is what I usually do. But again, this is just surface level stuff. All right, so we're reading the second defender in. All right, he's out of the play. So now we have all this space for the underneath in. All right, but here's the missed opportunity again because he's running palms again and he's doing something with this backside safety. I didn't see what he did. Again, that deep window is wide open. This is why, you know, if I was in like a league or playing against someone where you have tape on somebody and you see them do something like this, you have tape on the guy, this is where you can really destroy somebody. Okay, because what I would do upon me knowing that against a set like this, you're doing something crazy with this backside safety and having this guy with terrible leverage on the three going vertical, I would just turn this guy into a deep post with this action here. And at the snap of the ball, I would read the backside safety as an alert. And when he does something where he's not holding the post, now we know we have this big shot, right? But obviously, this is a random opponent. I don't know that. So we can see what he's doing with the backside safety. So he's using the backside safety, and then he switched stick on that. But if I ran a post on this, I don't think it would have mattered, all right? So we hit underneath. We'll move on to the next play. And with this formation, what you want to do, so obviously I'll go over this later, is you want to consistently on a lot of different plays reduce the split of this receiver on the backside. Not necessarily because we are going to throw something to this guy, but because we have a lot of different plays where we want everything to look the same. So when we run in that tiger concept, we're reducing the split here. You don't want it to where every time you reduce the split, they know that you're running that concept here, right? So here you will see me reduce the split of that outside receiver despite me still running the clear out play because I want everything to look the same and I'm still going to read the concept the same, clear out against double high, right? Snap the ball, second defender in, we're reading, and he's open again, and I can't believe 3 separate times I missed this. Again, this is the problem with progression reading. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Still get a big play. So here, this is where we finally get single high. So, you know what I wish they had in the game, guys? I wish they didn't have where the user kicks the field goal at all. All field goals, all kick returns, all that should be computer animated the entire way. So when you score and you pick the PAT, okay, the computer would do it automatically. It would go through the whole animations, but then different menus should pop up during those plays where you can kind of review the film of the drive. So while I'm kicking the field goal, I could look at play 1, play 2, play 3, play 4, right? And play 5. And I would have seen in the first, 1, 2, and third play that deep middle accessible access for us to attack them. And then that would have let me know, hey, this is what we're going to check into on drive number 2. And then I could have did what I told you earlier with the deep post from the number 3, etc. I think that's a little bit more realistic because there's not a lot of interaction going on with the field goals and field goal attempts against opponents online. And it would get a little bit more realistic because in real life, during those actions, the coaches on the sideline are looking at film, looking at what happened during the drive, coming up with ways we can counter what they're trying to do against us, etc. Right? So hopefully, I think it's a long shot that they'll ever put that in the game because that would have to come from an idea in the developers, but I wish that they had something like that in the game. So here we get single high. Now I'm going to check into a single high beating play. I check into stick. Again, you guys can go into my passing concept folder in the playlist, all right, where he will stick it or run it out against man. And here we're going to get into something that I don't like about the game. I don't think it's very interactive. Okay, and what I mean by interactive, I think what happens is he puts these guys into man-to-man. So in man-to-man, he will read man-to-man and run it out. Okay, but the game is not dynamic. And what I mean by that is the coding of the game knows, hey, you're in man-to-man coverage, so run the out. I think it should be more dynamic where the receiver runs the route and doesn't matter if you're in man-to-man, okay? If this guy flares out or goes inside or back steps as if he's in zone, okay, then you should stick it no matter what. Okay, so you'll see that here in stick. Okay, we're reading the curl flat defender. And you'll see me throw the out almost right away here, right? But this is what I don't like. Okay, notice how he's not running with this player in man-to-man defense. I would like for him to just stick it because I really don't like the spacing with this. All right, but we throw it out and we move on to the next play. No, how do I know you're in single high? So I check in the stick again, and this is another thing we can do with this play is I turn. So we have that tiger concept here where he's running this delay inside breaking route. So what we do is we turn the back into a flat route. I don't want to swing. I want, there's a difference between him running to the flat now and swinging out. Okay, when he swings, he's not attacking the flat like right now. Okay, the flat, he's just bursting out to the flat. And that's what we want here. And this is where we get the dragon passing concept. It's great against single high. So when I know you're in single high, yes, I can run the stick concept. Okay, but this is where when I get single high, okay, I'll call stick, but then run dragon on the backside. And what I'll do is I'll motion the back so we get into an empty set. So we can maximize the spacing of the play. Okay. And then, which side do we attack? In single high, we can attack with this or we can attack with this. Which side do you select? Well, if you draw a line down the center, okay, where this defender aligns dictates which side I'll attack. Okay. So if he was over here, then I would work this side. Okay. But being that he's to the right, I will attack this side. Okay. We can still attack this side with him over here. We can still attack this side with him over here, but we maximize the space available with the concept by attacking the side that he's not on, right? I used to wonder why a team would have a single high beating concept on one side and a single high beating concept on the other side. I used to not understand why you would do that. When we have a single high beating concept on one side, this guy kind of dictates which side we can give us the most favorable amount of space to attack. So we're just going to read this defender. Go check out my video on the dragon passing concept. Maybe I'll make a video this year going over all those concepts that I went over previously. Okay, if he widens with the flat, the window is open for the slant. If he stays in the window of the slant, we just throw the flat every single time. And the reason why we can do this is because this defender, if it's true single high, will never drive on the flat. Okay, it's because he's the outer shell of the coverage. He's going to be a lot more conservative. He doesn't want anything to get behind him, right? So if this guy stays in the window of the slant, we're not going to get something where this guy drives on the flat. The flat will be open every single time, unless they are topping the corner with a disguised coverage with a Tampa 2 rotation or an NTT, a non-traditional Tampa rotation. Okay, if he widens with the flat, then this guy should be open on the slant. He just has to win one-on-one against man-to-man coverage. But if it's a outer shell deep third, that slant is going to be even more open. All right, so we're just reading the second defender in. Clear this. Okay, he's just out leveraged to the flat right now. So I'm just going to throw this right now. And we get a first down. All right, he checks into single high, and now we're going to get into the shock passing concept. Shock is something that is a 3. It's ran on the 3 receiver side, where the outside receiver is running a locked hitch. Your inside receiver is running a slot fade, and then your number 3 is running stick, where he'll stick it against like zone or run it out against man. My adjustment with this shock passing concept is to turn the outside receiver into an out breaking route, speed out. All right. Reason why I like to do that is because I like to maximize the pressure on the curl flat defender in single high. All right. So this is a single high beating concept. Okay. I'll go over this. I've already went over the shock passing concept in a previous Madden. All right. But we're just going to read these 2 defenders. All right. And they will dictate where we go with the ball. The read is progression 1 to 2 to 3. And I like to make this guy the 4 against single high. That's how my eyes go here to here to here, back to there, late. All right. Now the shock passing concept is something that you use to attack single high like cover three and cover one. And that's why usually on the backside of the coverage, you have plays to attack double high because you really don't want to run this against double high, cover two zone. Maybe you can look for a hole shot, etc., cover quarters and all that. Okay. This is where you pair a double high beating concept on the backside. So you will see shock in empty. Obviously, we have something here where I think they call this like the Lucy route, where you can run a slant or he can run it out. I watched a video on a coach, or you can stick it there. Turn back to the quarterback. I watched the video on a coach. I love the way he phrased it. He phrases it where you're running the slant unless. Okay, so it gives the priority to the receiver. Hey, I want you to run the slant if it's open. And unless, or in other words, if it's not open, so this is priority number one, right? Where the second defender in is walling you off to the inside. Okay, then you run it out. Okay, so you run the slant unless you can't. And if you can't, you run the out. All right. And if you can't run the out because this guy is walling to the outside, maybe you have a deep safety cover two type deal, then you stick it in between both defenders. All right. So again, I'll make a video on this particular play with single high. I'm reading this side. I used to just read the second defender in, but I'm getting more to the point because both of these guys are in our vision. Try to read almost both players because if this guy sits flat, that's when I think your eyes should come right off the first read and get right to the second read on that slot fade. And you'll see me throw almost an interception on the next play by not going through the reads properly. So I threw that. Oh, it's actually right there. This is the play. So watch the corner. Notice how he's sitting flat. Okay, so this is a problem with me reading this defender. So I've changed tune on this. I want to read that defender first, kind of read both of these defenders because they're both in my vision. Okay, and if this guy ever sits flat, I should just get right away to the second read. And this is where, we see that they're even. We had a potential slot fade big shot. All right, now if he's sitting flat and this guy is topping this route, this is where you get to that third read where he's going to stick it up. All right, so this is where I almost threw a pick by poor mechanics there, poor post-snap reading, but that's okay. Single high again. So here I did it properly, but I threw, I would think, the wrong read here. So I didn't like one. I probably should have thrown one. Okay, but I didn't. And I got right away to the second read. See, this is me assuming that he's in the same type of concept. I think he was playing more aggressive underneath man coverage. Now he's playing a little bit softer. So this is the problem with assuming. So I'm throwing this ball like right now. I think I should have waited a little bit and then threw it outside leverage. So I threw it a little too early and we're able to still get a touchdown here, right? But here I think I should have waited a little bit. And if I didn't like the read half a second later, then get to your third read who was open on this outside breaking route. So also problem is I'm running this into the boundary, right? So again, less space, it's more space on the field side. So I should have ran this concept over here. You see the problem with running stuff into the boundary and running stuff both to the outside here. It's a little bit clogged up here, all right? So I let it fly. He did have the step on him. I mean, this is probably the worst case scenario in running this with not a lot of space deep down the field. But still got a touchdown. All right, here. I don't remember what I ran. All right, single high again. One right away. I should have. See, I was a little bit late there on the one. See, this is a problem. I'm running this into the boundary again. Okay, so I'm making a lot of mistakes here in this game. But we can see even when I'm making formation mistakes, if you still go with the read. So I went one, didn't like it, obviously because he didn't have a lot of space to run that out. Didn't like two with the corner over the top and this guy turning the run with this. And then we get our eyes on number three. All right, so I threw it late. Ball should have been gone. Still got a good play. Here's double high, so I'm working the clear out. I reduce the split because I want everything to look the same in case I run the tiger concept. Reading one, one's open right away. I threw that a little bit late, and we're just picking up first downs. So there we see where I finally kind of saw that that seam was kind of open, and I threw it late again, right? So little mistake here. The second I saw that, I should have ripped it there because now that number 3 is not walled off, right? So I should have ripped that there. I think previous Maddens you have to kind of get out of that mode of superhuman abilities. I think that's what prompted me to wait a little bit. This year's Madden is a lot better. I haven't seen a lot of superhuman interceptions, right? So that's a good thing for Madden. So, we've been kind of trained to disregard throwing wide open throws because we're so afraid of the user, right? I don't think we necessarily have to be afraid of the user making unrealistic interceptions, right? So this is probably why I threw it late in fear of this guy. And then when he re-steps back inside, this is when I threw it, but it's still late. Right? So we get an incomplete pass there. Okay, double high, so I'm probably working the tiger on this side. All right, because I don't want to run stick against double high. Go ahead and play it. Reading that second defender in. He widens. I hit our running back and get a big play. Next play, I think I get a sack here. Okay, I'm running dragon stick. Okay, I already know what's going on here. Okay, so single high. I already went over this. And this is what I mean, right? Usually with the third defender in on this side, okay, well, now we can work stick on the opposite end because we have less defenders clogging space over here, okay? But it doesn't matter that he's here because the second defender in is out of position, okay? So I'm not even, at the snap of the ball, I don't care what's going on. First step, I'm throwing the flat right away. Because, it doesn't matter if he runs out and he's in man-to-man coverage with this guy. He's just out of position. He's out leveraged to the flat right away by position alone. So here, I think, again, I'm reading double high. I think he rotates in the single, but, our reads don't change. 1 to 2 to 3. One's open, but our left guard got destroyed at the LOS. So we couldn't get the ball off. So I think I will end it here, guys. I don't want this to be too long. It probably already is. Look at this tiger concept is so good, guys. It's unbelievable. This is going to be my next video. I'm going to go over tiger. I'm going to go over tiger return. Just an excellent concept against double high. All right. And, what's great about it is I don't know where else that route from the back is in the game. So we have something unique to run from run and gun. So I'll move forward. This is me still reducing the split, but I'm probably not looking to run this against single high, but I want everything to look the same. Should be running stick. I still attack backside, so I don't remember what was going on there. But I love that concept. It seems to be good. It's great against double high, and I don't have issues throwing it against single high. It's a great coverage. A great combination. And I'm going to have a lot of other backside combinations to pair with that. All right. And, it's with the reduced split. So what I also like too, there are running plays that I use with the reduced split. Because when you reduce the split of the receiver, sometimes it changes the run responsibility. So sometimes he'll just go and get the safety. Okay. And a corner runs with him. Obviously, he doesn't know if it's man-to-man coverage. So you kind of eliminate 2 defenders with just with that reduction of the wide receiver. Okay. And it forces the corner to have to get his nose dirty and make a tackle in the box. I'll never forget a play. I believe it was in 2000 and maybe 2008, 2010 with the Jets with Antonio Cromartie. The Chargers reduced the split of the receiver and they ran a running play, and Cromartie was completely disinterested. They just did not block him. The running back, they picked up everyone else. Running back hit, I believe, the B gap, and then Cromartie came behind late with his great speed to make it seem like he was like actually doing something in the play. And it was clear as day when you watch the replay, he was just disinterested in the box. Corners really don't want to make, I don't want to say all corners, but if you want to force a defender to have to make a play in the box, I'd rather it be the corner as opposed to the safety. So that's why I like those kind of reductions sometimes where the receiver just goes and blocks him. And we just force the corner to be the unblocked defender in the box. All right. I say all that because I say all that and it doesn't happen in this play. It kind of runs out. Corner, safety's involved. So, I mean, we still take out 2 players from the box here. Okay, but again, everything is trying to make everything the same. And I run inside zone against a double high front. I've been having a blast with this formation. Here's another thing I like to do. I've gotten really big plays with speed option with this reduction. Again, we're trying to make everything look the same. All right. And I've been getting huge plays with speed option here. So won't go over it here. The video's too long already. All right, so we're just reading this player. If he widens, then I'm just going to run up with the quarterback. If he attacks me, then I flip it out to the back. He overplays it. So now I run with the quarterback, and we get a nice game. And I believe this is the last play where I ran inside zone. My offense was on fire, and then we get a fumble. So I'll leave it at that, guys. I have a lot of plays that I want to go over from the run and gun Trey Open formation. And hopefully I end up getting into different formations, but I've been having a lot of fun running this playbook. So again, run and gun and Chicago Bears defensive playbook is what I'm running this year. I'll leave it at that. I hope you got something from this video, and I hope you keep coming back for more, man. Peace.